Dr. Jaja came with some group BFIG, and when the advertisement was done, they came in, they won the bid. And he was given a time frame to pay 10% of the money agreed. Unfortunately, Dr. Jaja could not come up with the funding within the time frame. So it was offered to the reserve bidder. You know, when you do a bidding round, somebody wins, and of course, you always have a reserve position. Of course, he failed to meet the terms. This process, he was not satisfied. He went to court. The case went all the way to Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said, okay, please, because of some excuses, whatever, offer it to him again. And for the second time, Dr. Jaja was also offered a second opportunity to pay up 10% of the money. And of course, Dr. Jaja could not meet up with that. The facts are in the papers. It's a long case. I've read it since I came into office. It's a very big file. But government is not wronging anyone. It's been offered to the reserve bidder. They are there. And very shortly, they should be able to produce aluminum from there. It's an issue of power generation for the place, and of course gas. Once the gas and power issues are resolved, we should start producing aluminum from ALSCON in the Cotabasi.
Well, yes, that did happen yesterday, but we now have Dr. Reuben Jaja joining us this morning. He is the CEO and president of BFI Group. Good morning, Dr. Jaja. Thank you for joining us today. Well, first, I know it's a long-drawn matter. We certainly can't have, this window can't even scratch the surface in the matter, so we'll do as much as we can. Let's get you straight away to sink your teeth into this one. Tell us, we did ask the minister about this matter because when we digged into it, we saw, look, this has been going on for a while. What's your response to the minister?
Thank you, Chamberlain, for having me. Obviously, the minister is wrong. He's been economical with the truth. In fact, I don't want to say he lied. Either he's ignorant of the facts or he's been misled by BPE with the same lies of which the courts, the Supreme Court have proven that all they said is a lie. That they, since we started, we came to Nigeria from the US. I brought quite a lot of investors, and we came and bid and won. When we won, they changed the game. They did not allow us to sign the share purchase agreement. We went all the way, we battled the matter all the way to the Supreme Court of Nigeria. From 2004, when we bid, to 2012, the same BPE told the Nigerian people that we couldn't pay. They've disqualified us. They couldn't pay. 2004, all the way to 2012, when the Supreme Court of Nigeria said, we have not even reached the point of payment, and then proved them wrong, that they lied, that BFIG couldn't pay. And during this time, we took loan from the US. We were sued in the United States for not using the loan. We settled with millions of dollars paid to the financial institution that offered us the facility. Now, from 2012, when the Supreme Court gave the judgment, by the way, it was a unanimous judgment. The Supreme Court didn't say, well, we think this or that. They looked at the facts and said, this is the agreement between both parties, that you, BPE, have not even given them a chance to pay, and then ruled 5-0. In fact, the Supreme Court said that our case is meritorious to the extreme, and then issued an injunction, a perpetual injunction, because they could sense the unfairness in the way we're treated. Now, after that, from 2012 to 2018, BPE again refused to implement the Supreme Court judgment. So we went back to Supreme Court and we asked them, look, they have refused. They said, go to the lower court, enforce that judgment. We went. All this time, BPE again was saying they couldn't pay, they couldn't pay, they couldn't pay. At the appeals court said, no, you have not even given them the share purchase agreement to sign. So issue of payment is not even there. Now you know that Supreme Court judgment is final. It's only God that can change it.
Dr. Jaja,
BPE
there's so many
and all
questions
their
about
collaborators,
this.
in this case, UC Rosal and the Russians, who wrote, put in writing.
So, Dr. Jaja,
Said
I hope you can hear me though.
The judgment of the Supreme Court of Nigeria will never stand.
Getting the Supreme Court's
And give
ruling,
it to the BPE.
So, could you then tell us, I mean, we can't relate with this. If there's been a Supreme Court ruling, why is it being enforced or obeyed ever since 2012? Have you approached the relevant authorities so that they can be aware that, look, this has not been obeyed ever since then?
Not only have we approached relevant authorities from 2012, we have even gone as far as filing a motion declaring that the BPE have continued to disobey the Supreme Court order. Now in 2019, the Federal High Court looked at the matter and said yes. On December 17th, that judgment came. I've made it available to you. That judgment came, and it said it is crystal clear that they have not even given us the complete agreement to sign. So the issue of payment have not even come up. In fact, the judge had to sentence the DGBPE to a 30-day jail sentence for daring to challenge and disobey the Supreme Court judgment. That is where we are today. And for the governor, for the minister to come and not even mention that as of today, just last year, December 17th, a judgment came. Sentenced the DG to 30 days in jail for failure to produce all the complete information needed for us to execute the SPA. That is where we are today. And that judgment specifically ordered him to provide all the annexures that complete the SPA and give it to us so that we go ahead and pay. But BP have continued, and they have fed the Honorable Minister, who said he has read everything. I don't know what he's reading. If he has read everything and still could not read the court judgment and know where the case is at this moment. At this moment, the DGBP is fighting to stay away from jail for failure to comply to the Supreme Court judgment of giving us the share purchase agreement for us to sign and pay. But rather, BPE have continued to support UC Rosal, who was disqualified, and the minister said he was he's the second preferred bidder. No, there's nothing like that. Anyone who watched the bid process, the UC Rosal was flatly disqualified for disobeying Nigerian law, for disobeying the regulations guiding the bid process. We complied, and we are being punished for obeying the law. What kind of country are we trying to build? Is it a country based on the rule of law? Or just to stoop to any foreign company that comes and bamboozle them, and then we cause credible people who have come.
I'd like also, if I may come in right now.
To the call of our country.
Right.
That we in the diaspora should bring investors home. We should
Okay, let me come in right now and
talk
talk about the SPA, which obviously is a major talking point in this whole, matter, the share purchase agreement. Now, we understand, as you have said, that it wasn't offered to you at some point, and then during the course of time, we hear that something was offered to you, a certain SPA. Can you walk us through what exactly played out with this SPA? Because it seems that this is a major fulcrum of a matter.
Well, you see, the Supreme Court of Nigeria ordered that they should give us the mutually agreed share purchase agreement. And they gave us the same thing that the UC Rosal signed. Along the road, after we've executed that share purchase agreement, and that was a 58-page share purchase agreement, which is what the Russians signed, with all the items that will make them successful. And then we signed a return to them. After about 4 months, they told us, no, they're not going to accept that. And they gave us another one. That one, we told them, there's no way we can sign this because it is commercially unreasonable. You remove everything that will make us successful compared to the foreigners, the Russians that you preferred to give them 58, and that was 16-page. We went to court, to the Supreme Court. So that is where the Supreme Court said, go to the lower court and enforce that. So no SPA was given to us at that time. And then at the appeals court, after the Federal High Court said, we've examined this matter, you must allow them sign the same SPA that you gave to the Russians as well. They said no, that they want to comply with the Supreme Court judgment because the price of the Russians was $250 and we bid at $410, that they want to comply with that. So the appeals court said, look, we have found the actual SPA, Exhibit BPE1, they call it. Go and sign it and then complete it so that both parties can execute it. Now they gave us that Exhibit BPE1. There were 19 exhibit annexures that SPA called for. I have it here. This is the SPA they gave us. It's 16 pages, not the one that the Russians have, which is 58. And then there's annexures here that all the items that are supposed to be included. After we have signed, and they showed us the exhibits, and we return it to them, they return it back to us and remove all those exhibits. All those annexures, remove it just to create contention, simply because they know we are about to pay. So that was the basis that we now decided to go to court and say, look, this is absolute disobedience of court order. How can you say that you will not give us the audited financial statement as an annexure, authority for you to sell ALSCON from the federal government as an annexure? This is a transaction of 410 million.
Dr.
You did
Jaja.
all that.
Dr. Jaja.
You provided all that to the Russians.
Just one moment. Just one moment.
And then,
we understand. Just one moment.
you wouldn't even
Just
give
one
us
moment,
gas.
Dr. Jaja. Just one moment.
Yes.
Now, when we encountered the minister yesterday, the Honorable Minister for Mines and Steel Development, he said that himself and yourself have met. When that meeting held, if you can confirm that it did you present this side of the conversations to him? Because he said that you had a very fruitful conversation. Did you present these arguments to him? Is he fully aware that you are actually ready to pay? Because his own position is that as we speak, BFI Group does not have the capacity to pay.
Is absolutely false. Like I said earlier on, when I met with the minister, it was new. In fact, it was the DGBP that told me that the minister wanted to see me. But when I arrived there, the minister said he's not aware of that. But nonetheless, he was gracious enough to give me audience. I went with my counsel. And then the senior counsel, Patrick Ikwetu, senior advocate of Nigeria, he summarized the case for him. And he said, okay, that he wants to resolve this thing outside court. The next thing we saw was he joined a trip to Russia when the president went there. And then they announced that they have given ALSCON to the Russians. So for him to come and say we had fruitful discussion, he's willing to do this, we can't pay and all that, is really unfair to BFIG. They have not given us any chance. How come? I'm not saying take my own word for it. Supreme Court, after many years, said you are wrong. You have not even reached the stage of payment. But BPE continued to say that. Appeals Court also said you have not reached the stage of payment. Give them the share purchase agreement. And then they continue to say BFIG couldn't pay. The Federal High Court just last year, December, said you have not even given them what they need to do and sign, which is the SPA, so that payment can commence. Pay the agreement that the Supreme Court validated. And now,
Dr. Jaja,
you are going around saying, oh, they couldn't pay.
Okay, Dr. Jaja, if the question were to be put to you today, yes, are you ready to pay now?
Question, the answer is yes.
Okay. Now,
we are ready to proceed.
In the meantime, let me
tell you why you see all this resistance.
Okay.
The ALSCON, when we bidded for it in 2004, was worth 1.3 billion. It is sad of which the Honorable Minister couldn't tell Nigerians today that by the audited financial statement of KPMG today, ALSCON is less than $100 million. They do not want BFIG Group to go because they know that they cannot sustain the value that BFIG Group paid for at that time. I have a police report that I sent to you where the Russians were cutting things away, and I reported to BPE. Rather, they came back and said, no, we are lying. Whereas the police in Akwa Ibom intercepted 4 trucks of sensitive material sealed, all being cutted away out of this. And it was the military that intercepted it and then took them to the police and look, this is suspicious. This is a federal government plant. And as I can tell you right now, they have totally vandalized that plant. Now, they also know that while we were in the Supreme Court, they have sold a subsidiary of ALSCON, which was there when we bidded, and there was cash in that company in Germany. So that company has been sold, the cash that was in it, nobody knows where it is. And then the Honorable Minister now have they refuse to be fair to us and keep saying they couldn't pay. This is a huge conspiracy, a huge malpractice that I will call for the federal government to take a closer look at it and not to depend on BPE or even the ministry, because the ministry have refused to be independent in this matter. We have an important asset of our nation. I want to use that asset to accomplish exactly why the federal government put it there. Support the regional economy. As we speak now, the Russians who came in to take over the plant, what have they done with that plant to contribute to the growth of this nation? Nothing. The production is zero. When Nigerians were producing there about 30% of the installed capacity. Go and look at the statistics. Since the Russian took the company over, they have not performed on the average of 5% since 2000.
All right, Dr. Jaja, just give us a moment.
To kill the plant so that we can't compete with their own plant.
Give us a moment. We'll come back and take a look at some of these other views.
Employees were about 800 employees when they took over.
Just hang
Today
on,
is less than 25.
We'll come back to you in just a moment so you can conclude your thoughts. So please stay with us. Welcome back. Well, Dr. Jaja, so many people wondering, is this really the case? Is this really happening in Nigeria? So there's some surprise. Yes, we did ask the minister some of these questions yesterday. He sounded as though, look, they've gone through this, that the government is not wrong in this case. and you are asking the federal government to look into this matter. But, well, we do know that the agencies of government here, the BPE, the ministry. So what is going to be next for you moving forward on this matter?
Well, for me, I will insist on making sure that the country is fair to be, because I was invited by the country to come home and bring credible investors to support the growth of this country during when President Obasanjo was elected. And I came and I did exactly so. When I came, I decided to do this. Most of my friends in the diaspora told me not to go, that I will not succeed because of the nature of the environment, but I insisted I must go, because I know that there are good people in government that will hear our case. But it is very, very disturbing, because when you look at the Russians as it stands today, that they are favored, they have taken the value of our asset from 1.3 billion and drop it to less than 100 million. It's not my fact. It's KPMG, the auditors of the company. They have taken production that Nigerians were producing at 30% of the installed capacity to zero today. The process of killing that plant have started. They have taken jobs of our people there from 800, today less than 20. Crime in the whole area. These are people going around, kidnapping, destroying things because of joblessness. These Russians that the minister is talking have taken over, have not even paid. The purchase price was 250 million. These people said they have paid 130. Nobody can find that money anywhere.
Right, Dr. Jaja.
In the account, in the treasury of the nation.
Dr. Jaja, just a minute.
I challenged them in court to bring the receipt. They couldn't.
Okay, well, we need to go at this point, but we see people asking that
Yes.
perhaps we need to reinvite the minister. They think that he needs to come back and clear the air on some of these issues that you've raised, and perhaps if you are available as well, hopefully, probably, so that people can understand it, because that's the question people are asking. They want to see that happen. But we do thank you for coming on the program today, Dr. Reuben Jaja, the president and CEO.
I'm not the first. I had a group that brought 2.6 billion pounds.
All right, Dr.
When
Jaja,
we came in at the same time.
Okay,
and
we'll still see how we can.
It's a Union Bank and the Central Bank, and
we'll see how we can keep this matter afloat. Perhaps reaching out to the other authorities and see how this progresses. Thank you for your time, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.